Congressional District, the current Congressman, Republican, Mr. Bob Dold. Mr. Dold, how are you doing, sir?
Listen, we're doing fantastic. I mean,
Excellent.
how could you be going wrong out here at Beachfest?
This is true. What a gorgeous day.
It's a gorgeous day. We just came over from looking over the lumberjacks. They were doing some log rolling and some cutting of some logs and all sorts of good stuff. So great stuff out here for the kids, great food. It's just, you can't go wrong out here at Beachfest. So if those that are listening are thinking about it and said, you know what, it looks like it may rain, it's all sunshine over here, they should get out here and enjoy what is an absolutely fabulous afternoon and get out with some of their neighbors.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit of history about you a little bit as to what got you into politics in the first place.
Well, from my perspective, I'm a small business owner. I run a pest control business, which many think is probably perfect for Washington. But
wait, it's coming. There you go. Okay.
But from my perspective, I felt the government was making it harder and harder for me to put the key in the door and open up my business each and every day. And quite frankly, they should be making it easier for me to open up my doors, easier for me to hire that next person, because we've got a tremendously high unemployment rate, not just nationwide at 8.2%. Illinois, it's certainly higher. And in areas of the 10th district, right here at home, we've got communities that are suffering from unemployment of 22%. So it's a very real issue. People are, I think, frightened about what tomorrow may bring. We need to, I think, try to focus on how we can bring more certainty, to entrepreneurs, small businesses all across our country, so that they have the confidence to invest in their business and grow. There are 29 million small businesses in our country, many of them here in Round Lake Beach, and what I'd like to do is create an environment where they can invest back in their business and grow by one job. And if we can do that, we're gonna have a different problem on our hands.
One of our co-hosts at one point in time, he's not that much on our show anymore, but the gentleman right there trying to take your picture, Steve from Rockford, had a question for you as far as how are you going to try to get back manufacturing jobs into this area?
Listen, manufacturing jobs, we live in the largest manufacturing district, congressional district in the nation. We have 620 manufacturers representing over 93,000 jobs. And what I hear over and over again is we need to bring manufacturing back. And we also talk to manufacturers on a regular basis to say they can't find quality people or people that have the skills necessary to take jobs that they've got available. During the worst part of the recession, there were 600,000 manufacturing jobs that were available. And so I think we need to be focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so that we're preparing high school students and those that are going back to community colleges to be able to take jobs in the 21st century.
Let me ask you a question then about student loans. With regards to, July 1st is coming around the corner, where that student loan percentage rate is going to double. In order for people to get the skills, they need to go back to school, and sometimes in getting back to school, they need to take out a student loan. It seems to me you're in a catch-22 in that situation, because if you guys in Congress don't act, that student loan rate is going to double.
No question. And so what's going to happen is that as of July 1, if the Senate does not pass what the House has sent over, so the president can sign a law, because that's already passed the House, to make sure that on a bipartisan basis, so that they will keep student interest rates down at 3.4%. And then they would double to 6.8%, which I think is wrong, because we know that recent college graduates are either unemployed or underemployed to the percentage of 50% of recent college grads. And which, again, if we go back to your previous question about how do we talk about manufacturing, one of the things that I heard loud and clear is we need to make sure that we're able to sell American all over the globe. And one of the things that I did in terms of trying to make sure that we're working together is say, the president came out and said we want to double exports by 2014. There are 3 trade agreements that we're able to pass out of the House through the Senate and to the president's desk, talking about South Korea, Panama, Colombia. If we're able to level the playing field for the American worker, there's no question in my mind the American worker wins. We have the best workforce in the world. We want to be able to sell our goods and services all over the globe. With South Korea alone, we should be able to add $10 billion to our GDP in the first year alone. But on student loans, there's no question that that's a concern. I hear over and over and over again is the cost of higher education is rising, and we need to make sure that students have the ability, should they want to be able to go and get that education. And we've got some great educational institutions in and around the 10th Congressional District.
Now, you come from a party that traditionally wants to cut taxes. And, for example, I've been seeing Grandma O, one of our co-hosts on my program here on Lepic and Company, Medicaid cuts. And you have one of two choices. You're either going to raise taxes or you're going to cut services with regards to. How do you solve something like that where people like Grandma O doesn't suffer with canceling the prescription drug program, canceling dental coverage, things like that. It would seem to me, I'm a neophyte here, okay? Just seems to me you're going to have to raise taxes in order to incorporate her or cut services. You guys, as a Republican Party, want to cut taxes. That doesn't equate a little bit as far as the programs that are out there.
Well, certainly what I want to do is talk about pro-growth policies.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to keep taxes lower.
Okay.
Because what I want to do is I want to make sure that just those companies that we were just talking about are able to invest back in their business and grow.
Right.
What I've been hearing, I heard, is we're taking this bus tour. We're on a bus tour right now. We've been traveling all over the district.
Okay.
And literally talking to thousands of people. A couple of the manufacturers that we were at yesterday had said, you know what, we're competing, and not necessarily with China, they were competing with Canada, who's lowered their corporate tax rate, and they were being put at a competitive disadvantage in selling their goods. They're seeing their market share decline.
Okay.
And so the idea would be, and certainly some of the comprehensive tax reform that the president has talked about, that the Simpson-Bowles Debt Commission, a bipartisan debt commission that was put together by the president, has talked about, that the House has talked about, is trying to, again, eliminate the corporate or lobbyist loopholes that are out there, trying to lower the rate so we can broaden the base and be more competitive, so that we want to, again, allow the American worker to be able to compete on a level playing field and be able to grow our base. And so what we want to do is we want to grow taxpayers. We want more taxpayers that are paying those dollars. But when we talk about, Medicaid, it's an enormous issue. And we've had state after state after state come to the Congress saying, please block grant us the Medicaid portion to our states, and let us have more flexibility to do it. My fear is that I'm not sure Illinois is the best one to do that with, and so I would think that let's at least try. If somebody really wants to do that, some states are saying, please let us do it. Let's do it on a pilot program before we do it nationwide, because I'm not sure that would be the best for seniors here that are on Medicaid to allow Illinois to block grant it, because they've been really not the best stewards of those resources.
Congressman, can you take a question from one of your constituents?
Of course, absolutely.
Grandma O, you have a question
Grandma
for
O's
the Congressman. Yes.
Governor Quinn just abolished my Community Care RX drug program. I take like 9 or 10 pills a month. It comes with $1,000. And he just cut me off on this. What do we do about this?
Well, I think one of the things that we've got to do with regard to the drugs is we've got to make sure that there are generics that are available.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking, generics.
Yeah. And we've got to make sure there's a drug shortage out there, but we need to make sure that, again, as we talk about how do we keep costs down, one of the programs, certainly from the federal government, when we look at the prescription drug plans, that was the one program that came in actually 41% under budget from the federal perspective. That's one of the only programs that has done that. We'll let the Harleys go by.
Go ahead.
Enjoying this great day.
Yeah.
But this is a question as we more Harleys over here. They look good.
Very good.
They do.
Let's clear out a little bit here. Okay.
They look good and sound. They look good and sound better.
A tank of gas. Yeah, right.
Talking with Congressman Bob Dold.
So as we look at what's happening in the state, there's no question that the state has enormous fiscal issues, and we see business after business that are leaving the state because of the fiscal issues here in Illinois.
Well, doctors are leaving the state also.
Well, and doctors are leaving the state, no question. And the doctor actually that delivered my 2 youngest children picked up and left. She was paying $126,000 in medical malpractice insurance here in Illinois. She's paying.
Plus, they're getting less and less.
Paying 10 in Texas.
Rebate back on their money.
And so as we look at the what they call the sustainable growth rate, or what is now the doc fix, in terms of trying to make sure that repayments for Medicare and the like, that it doesn't impact physicians by 29%. And that percentage continues to rise. I mean, that's just completely unsustainable, because what we're going to end up doing is we're going to drive physicians to say, I'm no longer going to accept Medicare patients, and that's the last thing that we need to have happen.
What do I do now?
What does she do?
What do I do now?
With regard to what you're doing, and I don't know your exact situation with regard to the state and what program that you're on, but by all means, please pick up the phone, call the office, and I'm happy to sit down with you or have someone sit down with you to review exactly what our options are.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and that's one of the things that I want to make sure people do realize is, we're out here to try to do it. We provide a service, and we want to be providing a service for you. I come from a customer service business. The business that we're in right now is no different. And so whether it be Medicare, Medicaid, immigration, any of those types of problems that you may have, the office is open to try to make sure that we're dealing with those issues for you and being your advocate.
Yeah, whether it's Democrat or Republican, the only time I hear over the phone is when they call is when it's an election coming up. That's when they call me.
Well,
and that's a recorded message, not even a real person.
Well, and as you can see just right over here, we've got a big bus that we've been driving around, so we're actually talking to people, looking them in the eye and asking them what's keeping them up at night, and I certainly understand what's keeping you up at night. But there's a lot of things out there, and I think people are scared. They're frightened about how they're going to send their children to school.
I'm not the only person that's in this situation.
Of course not.
It's not just the fact that things may have been cut back, it's the fact that they're being cut off completely.
Right.
Completely cut off. It's like, and you can't come up with $1,000 a month for generic medicines that you've been on. You can't do it.
No.
You can't do it. So she's going to go without medication.
And that's not what we're looking for. We don't want to have people that have to make a choice between food or medication. And those types of things.
Then they cut down and they don't take the medications, and then their health problems return. And then they end up in a hospital because their health issues are out of control.
Which makes Medicare prices higher.
Exactly. So it's this vicious circle, but I guess I would have hoped that they would have started slow cutbacks.
Yeah, a little at a time.
As opposed to just cutting them off at the knees. Culturally.
Yeah, right.
Well, and then again, we're highlighting an issue here in the state of Illinois. Right? We're highlighting an issue, and back to the point that we were making earlier.
Okay.
Illinois did raise taxes on individuals 66%.
Yes, they did.
And on businesses 48%.
Yes, they did.
And did not tighten their belt with regard to spending.
No, they did not. You're right.
And we saw business after business that said, you know what? Maybe Illinois is not the place for me. I'm going to go up to Wisconsin, or I'm going to go to Indiana. And Mitch Daniels said Illinois makes it far too easy. It's like living next to the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Chris Christie was running radio ads saying, if you're thinking about leaving, we want you to think about coming to New Jersey. Well, frankly, that's not what we need. We want people to be living here because we have all the right resources right here. We have unbelievable natural resources in our open lands and our wetlands and the Lake Michigan, which is the jewel of our ecosystem. We've got unbelievable schools. Some have some issues, but you know what? We've got great schools in our area, and we've got teachers that are doing great work to try to educate those students. We've got an unbelievable research and development corridor with top quality talent that's here with Abbott, Baxter, Takeda, Cardinal, Astellas, Dow. So really unbelievable talent that's here. And we live, honestly, next to one of the largest, what I call one of the best cities in our country, in the city of Chicago, in terms of culture and life. We should be attracting businesses in here left and right.
We're losing them.
We're losing them. And even Governor Scott Walker went down to Springfield, had the chutzpah to go down to Springfield to address people come up to Wisconsin to transfer jobs up to Wisconsin. Scott Walker, the governor of Wisconsin, goes down to the Illinois legislature.
Well, we saw what happened. They put the open for business signs up on the Wisconsin border right after we decided to raise those taxes. There's no question about it. But I think, again, we've got all the right resources here to be able to try to be more competitive. We want to make sure, and it just requires us to have a more business-friendly attitude with regard to trying to grow those resources and grow those businesses here. We want more people back to work because the biggest drain we're going to have is when we have people that are hurting, that are not able to go get a job, and we need to have that safety net.
Congressman, I have two more questions for you before we have to let you go. One is on immigration. All over the newspapers this morning, President Obama, with regards to immigration of the young kids between the ages of 13 and 30, gets pretty much amnesty. I mean, they're not going to be deported. Your reaction to President Obama this morning?
Well, I mean, what I've said with regard to that in the past is that the DREAM Act, which has generally been part of the debate going on, is that the DREAM Act is, in essence, a step in the right direction, and I would probably have amended a little bit, but really what we're talking about in terms of amending legislation is the appropriate way to go about doing it. And so, my concern is again, more on the process side of it, that we want to make sure that we're not talking about creating dangerous precedents of having one individual create, in essence, what will be the law or policy of the land. So do I think that the DREAM Act is a step in the right direction and that's the policy we ought to be working towards, something along those lines? I do, and I've said that publicly before, but there's a process by which to go about doing it, and I think that's the work that we need to go back and roll up our sleeves and try to take care of it and do.
Earlier we had Brad Schneider, the Democratic, your opponent, the Democratic candidate for your seat, and I want to ask you just the final question. How are you different from Brad Schneider?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked that question. If you look at everything that I've done in the United States Congress, it's been with bipartisan support. And in fact, every independent organization that's out there has actually put me as one of the most independent members of the United States Congress, willing to work with the other side, to roll up our sleeves, because frankly, that's why I'm here. To take time away from my business and my family, not to try to get things accomplished, from my perspective, is unacceptable. My opponent has said before in the primary that there's no daylight in between him and Ilya Shaman, who is the MoveOn.org organizer, that he would not join the Blue Dog Caucus, which is the group of moderate Democrats that generally work with the other side. So this is a guy that wants to take more. Okay, he wants to take more, he wants to borrow more, he wants to spend more, and he doesn't think the stimulus was big enough, and is looking for more government spending. We've got a $16 trillion debt that we are burying future generations underneath, and they're not going to know how to get out from underneath it. So if you're looking for a government that wants to control your every move, that is larger and more expansive, he's going to be your guy. If you're looking for individual liberty, free market economy, someone that works with other side, that is actually committed to finding solutions to the problems that we face, then I'm your guy. But again, this is a guy that wants to, he says he wants to, in essence, raise taxes 50% on the lowest income earners out there that are paying federal tax. Now listen, in a downturn in this economy, you want to talk about somebody over here? Grandma was just over here. Grandma O,
behind you.
Grandma O is looking to pay more. We're gonna put another 50% burden on her in terms of taxes. Again, the wrong message and the wrong approach. And frankly, we need to talk about pro-growth policies, pro-growth strategies. And I just want to tell you, look, we just did two things last week: bipartisan, bicameral support. First thing was his original co-sponsor and stood up to basically introduce the Startup 2.0 Act. And what that did is we're talking about educating the best and the brightest from all over the world. They come to the United States to get educated. And what we do as soon as they graduate with their PhD or their master's degree is we in essence send them home to then go compete against us. What we want to do is we want them to stay here. We want them to create jobs here in our country. We want them to create that next new patent, that next new innovation. We want it to be done right here. The other thing it does is it creates, in essence, an opportunity for those people abroad that want to come here, invest in our country, and create a business to be able to do so. So again, a step forward, I think, not only on immigration, but I think on jobs. The other thing that we did, that I introduced, another bipartisan piece of legislation, is talking about how do we get foreign direct investment here. So if we have companies that are headquartered overseas that want to invest in our country, we want to encourage them to do that, because I think that's important. We just had a ribbon cutting over at Estellas.
That's right.
Right down the road.
That's right.
A Japanese company that's research and development headquarters for the world is right here in the 10th district. We want to encourage that, and we want to encourage that all over our country, because again, as we look at the unemployment rate that's higher and higher and higher, and going the wrong direction, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to encourage investment here, encourage people to get back to work, encourage the growth of our economy. We want a strong economy to be really the number one issue that we face in this next election. And what I'm hearing over and over again from people I talk to and the people that I represent is it's jobs in the economy. They want a strong economy to move forward, and they want to focus on the out-of-control spending that's in Washington and making sure our country remains safe and free.
One final question: Cub fan, Sox fan?
I am a Cubs fan.
You are a Cubs fan.
I'm a Cubs fan.
Another final question: hot dog with mustard or ketchup?
That's not even a question. It's mustard.
It's mustard, yes. Congressman Bob Dold from the 10th Congressional District. Thank you, sir, for being with us.
Use ketchup for French fries, never on a hot dog. Never.
Good luck to you in November.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. And again, for all those listeners out there, we're at Beachfest right now.
Yes.
We're going to be at Beachfest throughout the evening. We're going to have a great band out here. We've got great events for the kids. It's just a beautiful day. We're encouraging everybody out there, even if you're not in Round Lake Beach, if you're here and listening, get in the car, grab your family, grab your neighbors, get out here to Beachfest. We're celebrating the 75th anniversary. This is just a fantastic place, and honestly, it's a Norman Rockwell painting out here, a bit of Americana. We want everybody to be out here.
And a great radio station.
That's right. Keep listening.
There you go.
All right, take care.
Good luck to you. We'll see you in the future.
Thanks so much.
We'll be back right after these. You're listening to WRLR 98.3 FM. We will be back right after these messages.